On Tuesday, I started learning to use the Tajima. Here at the lab, we've got this little embroidery machine. It does one color at a time. And this is the maximum size, whatever that is. In the textiles and materiality group at Concordia, we've got a big two-headed Tajima embroidery and laying machine like this. Jen, the technician there, is showing me how to design Illustrator files suitable for the process and also how to use the Tajima software. I've got an idea in mind for a floral pattern, which it turns out is super standard in embroidery. I found some inspiration on Pinterest, where I tried to get a sense of what people are doing with embroidery and haute couture today. I'm still figuring it out. I found a flower, cut a vector, learned through trial and error that all the shapes must be closed, and then I brought it into the Tajima software. Jen showed me an applique technique for making patches. First, you set your colors and prepare the frame with a black backing material that can be torn off easily. We start with a square running stitch to locate our artwork on the material. Next, we do another running stitch, this time in a circular pattern, defining the contour of our patch. So far, we've only been stitching into the backing material. Now it's time to place our piece of material and do another running stitch in exactly the same place. The cloth is now secured to the backing material, and we can cut away the excess around the circle. With the material secured, it's time for this applique stitch. Here's the applique stitch. Now that the outside of the patch is solid, it's time to embroider. I used the Convert to Complex Fill tool to create these patterns, and I rotated them 45 degrees and 215 degrees, and I guess this one was straight up and down, to give it a little bit of variety. For this job, the machine was running at about 750 stitches per minute. The Tajima automatically cuts the thread at the end of that color and switches to the next color without stopping if you've programmed it to do so. During the training, I learned that they use polyester and rayon thread. Rayon is more expensive and has a shinier texture, but they both work well. And here you can see the machine's almost finished. The patch rips off of the backing material easily, like so. And here's the result. You can see the direction of the embroidery. And if we look in the light, you can see how nicely the edge is finished. I've been thinking about putting a camera inside of a patch that can be removed from a garment. So Jen taught me this technique because she thinks it's the most compatible. You can also use applique to add pieces of cloth to another piece of fabric as a kind of collage technique. Jen also taught us how to do laying with the machine. When laying, instead of embroidering through the material, one simply lays a piece of material and then does a stitch on either side in order to secure it to the fabric. The Textiles and Materiality Research Group, and especially the Subtella Research Group, use this technique to apply conductive thread to the surface of fabric because that thread is too thick to be embroidered through the material. The first and 12th head of the Tajima 12-head embroidery machine can be used for laying. Jen showed me this cassette of pink sequins that can be laid with the machine. I was amused to see that it looks just like SMT surface mount technology for putting components onto PCBs. Laying follows the paths of a vector file, whereas embroidery will fill in a fill. As I tried to make a second file for another embroidery test, I realized that defining each colored region of a floral pattern was just going to take a really long time. To capture the shape of a flower, you need to do more than just fill in each petal, but also capture some of the color difference within the petal. Jen suggested I try this sfumato technique in Embroider, an alternative to the Tajima software. Sfumato defines areas of color according to the numbers of threads you're using and allows you to create a kind of gradient effect by embroidering a little bit here and a little bit there in each different color. Okay, that's all I know.